everyone is talking about Bard, Bing, and ChatGPT, and that includes project managers. So I spoke to Andy Kaufman about whether they are a toy or a tool for us. How can we use them to get real results that make a difference in our day-to-day project management work? So, Andy, welcome.
Hey, Mike, thanks.
Andy, you and I have been talking a lot about ChatGPT, Bard, Bing, and all the various AI tools. And I'm sure conversations we've had have been replicated in the entire project management world. Everyone's talking about it. I wonder what your thoughts are. Are these tools just a toy? Are they a real tool that will let project managers use them and get real results that can make a difference?
Yeah, it's a great question, because when I was first exposed to it, Michael, it was along the lines of, hey, it can write poems, and you can turn that into a haiku. And I mean, I like stories, and I thought it was kind of cool. And with my kids, we made jokes, but it was pure just on the entertainment side.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden started playing with, well, what about this? What about this? And all of a sudden it became really clear I can pass scenarios by it. So here's an example of a tool.
Yeah.
I do a lot of work with the UN, and there was a certain program I was running, and someone had asked me a question. I felt like I didn't really have time to respond to them the way I wanted to. So I thought, I'm just going to put the question in there. I'm going to see what the answer is. And it came back remarkably good.
Yeah.
Not exactly in my tone, not exactly the way I would say it, but I was able to respond in about 10 minutes instead of taking about a half hour to respond.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, as I was doing more of that, saying, there's more to this. It's not just haiku generator. You know?
Yeah.
There's like real capability here that can help us.
Yeah. Although the idea of a project report in haiku format is quite appealing. That example, that seems to me immediately there's value in there, because those of us who have had the privilege of having junior staff on our projects, we know that when we're busy, we can say, do me a first draft of this.
Yeah.
And of course, if you haven't got project staff, you've now got ChatGPT or Bard that can do you a first draft. Can you give us a kind of more specifically project management example of how we could use this technology in our day-to-day work?
Absolutely. So I was amazed the first time I gave it some information and then said about a project, and then said, build a project charter. And I was amazed because it actually built a reasonably good project charter. Now, same sort of thing, the junior staff, you wouldn't take it as is and present it, but it actually, with information about the project, it gave some ideas. And then I went on with that and said, well, in fact, I'm working with the project manager right now. They're doing risk identification. You've got such great content about risk management on your website anyway, but what if you could use these tools to spur on some risk identification ideas? So I'm working with the project manager right now, and they put the characteristics of the project, description, information about it, and said, generate 10 risks, come up with, from ChatGPT's perspective, probability, impact, come up with response plans. Now, there's no way they're going to take them as is. Yeah. But just as another person to say, hey, what are some potential risks? It's just another way to brainstorm. And it puts it in the table. And for people that really don't know that much about risk management, it's a way to kind of learn how to do a little bit more structured risk management. So that's just a simple example of how project managers could use it. Yeah.
Now, you have a fabulous product, which I want to tell people about, and I've been working through it. And actually, one of the things that I learned about it is your example of project definition is a good case in point. What I learned is that you don't just ask ChatGPT or Bard a question, you give it information before you. So for people who are thinking, how does it know about my project? How can it write a project definition? It doesn't know what project I'm doing. But the answer is, you say, I'm doing this. Write me a and I thought that was revelatory to me. And my wife, who also took a look at your product, said what she really enjoyed was the brainstorming thing. The example you give of risk identification is like brainstorming. So I've loved your product. Could you tell us a little bit about why you decided to create it and how you created it in terms of what it is that people will get if they take a look at your product.
Yeah, I really wanted to take people on a journey to just start so they can experiment. Because I think a lot of us are thinking search engine still. Put in a query, you get a response. And then you think, okay, well, we're used to going back and put a new query in and get a different response instead of having a conversation.
Yeah.
So let's start with having a conversation like, what would we have done in Google? What would we do in this tool? And then slowly show there's more and more and more. And the reason why I did it, Michael, is I'd run into people and say, hey, have you checked this out? Have you looked into it? And they're like, no. And you know, it's almost like, it's a passing fad. And, you know, I don't have time. And the more I use it, the more I'm like, this will save you time. And so I feel like I'm helping someone like, this will help you. And they're like, I don't need a life jacket. I don't need a parachute. You know, and I don't know if it's completely true, Michael, that AI won't take your job, but someone using AI will. You know that phrase? I don't know if that's perfectly true. It might be hyperbole, but I think if we look at it and say, this is a tool in our toolkit, and if we can add that tool to our toolkit, so that's really what I'm after. And I've gone through a lot of material with different people. I've paid hundreds of dollars for courses, and it wasn't worth it. So I'm like, I want a course that's accessible, that someone might not even finish because they learned so much along the way that they're going to keep experimenting. So there's a lot of experimentation along the way. And so that's the goal, make it easy, accessible, and something that people just can go off and go, I'm confident now.
Yeah. And actually, I think you've missed out on what for me is his biggest selling point for us, people like us, is a lot of the courses that I've seen, and I've taken courses, I've also watched videos, and they're all about how you can use it in general. What you have done is you have taken your experience and your community of leaders and managers and project managers and said, how would these people use it? I don't care how an artist would use it. I don't care how a poet would use it. I'm sure there are plenty of things that just about anyone could do, a geographer or a historian. But you said, how are managers, how are project managers, how are leaders going to use this? What can it do for us? And I am absolutely convinced that the price you've charged, people will recoup that within days of using it in terms of not just productivity, but getting results that surprise them in terms of being, actually, I didn't think of that and I wouldn't have thought of that. So it's brilliant. I think you've done the community a great service, Andy, in producing this product.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And actually, that means a lot coming from anybody, but especially you, because not only do you know the domain, you also know what good learning looks like. So that matters a lot to me.
Yeah. And I think I just have to say that the way you've done it is a really nice balance of engaging conversation with your audience and easy to change, very agile approach to here's a chunk of information, but you know what? If the facts change, if there's something news available, I'll be able to slot something in really quickly. And the other thing I'd say to people is read the discussions, because people have made some really interesting points and you've responded to every single point people have made. You or Bard or ChatGPT, I'm not sure which it is.
So far it's me.
Okay, but not for long. Andy, I won't take up more of your time. Thank you very much for introducing us to your product. I will put a link to it in the description so people can go and have a look and buy it if they choose.
Thanks, Michael. Really appreciate it.
Andy's course is excellent. I've been through it thoroughly, done the exercises and contributed to the discussions. I recommend it 100%, and I've put a link to the course in the description. The link is affiliated, so if you choose to buy through it, you'll be supporting this channel and the videos I make. Please do give this video a thumbs up if you've liked it or learned from it. I'll be making loads more great project management videos for you, so please do subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.